Hi everybody, and welcome to Crimson Court Abridged. This is an abridged version of the session, and I will be posting one of these every single week after each session, probably on Wednesday or Thursday. The abridged sessions, my hope is for them to be anywhere between 40 minutes to an hour long, depending on what happens in the session. This is a way for you to catch up and be able to be there for the live stream without having to catch up on about 4 hours worth of D&D session. So with that, Crimson Court Abridged. Hope you enjoy. Welcome back to Roll with Advantage. Very excited to dive into today's session. You approach Sea Haven. You end up passing through that crescent-shaped harbor protected by these stone breakwaters that are topped with those watchtowers. Each watchtower having a falcon on the very top of it, carved with stone, looking over that passageway, making sure that all people are under the gaze of House Falkrest when here. Now, as the ship sort of glides into Sea Haven's harbor, you can also see the silhouette of Sky Haven rises majestically against the sky, half carved into the mountain itself, half built upon plateaus that jut from the face of it. You can see Captain Vela. She approaches all five of you as you begin to gather on the deck, watching the dock get closer. Your Highnesses, welcome back to Sea Haven, and it appears there is a formal reception waiting for all of you. And as you sort of look into the spot where you'll be docking, you can see there is a small delegation of people that stand attention on the dock, bearing Falkrest banners that are fluttering in the breeze. And as the ship eventually comes into dock and the gangway gets laid down, you can see your court herald steps forward, as this is his job, to announce all of the heirs as you enter whatever place that you're going, or announce guests whenever they come into your halls. So there the five of you stand together, and you see at the bottom of the dock closest to the actual city itself, you see two figures step forward from the small reception party. The first one is one that all of you are very familiar with. A dignified half-elven woman in her early 70s. She stands with this perfect posture. This is Lady Marianne Blackthorn, who has been the steward of Sky Haven for longer than any of you have been alive. She has been a woman that whenever you were here, she was like a grandmother to you. Always giving you everything that you could ever, ask for or need if it was within her power. Always trying to make sure that she was there for you, knowing that all of you didn't really have a loving grandmother here within Adaria. I'll go ahead and throw this in the image. Right there.
Oh, she seems so sweet.
I love Grandma.
Yeah.
Grandma Marianne. She's cute.
Little
Little pin in
ears.
her hair is nice.
Yeah. But then the person beside her, none of you know. You've only heard of, except Kaylin, you know the man who stands beside her. Towering next to her. Rugged, wild man, unkempt hair and beard, his weathered skin marbled with tattoos and tribal symbols. His clothing is a stark contrast to the refined Sea Haven styles, and it clearly marks him as a visitor of the Serpent's Grove. As all of you see, an individual by the name of Bjorn. You can see that he stands
arrived.
very calmly, but a little uncomfortable. You're not exactly sure why, but it's not super hard to tell considering the way that he presents himself. But Lady Marianne says, "Oh, my lords and ladies," she calls out towards all of you, unable to maintain that formal decorum. She opens her arm wide as if wanting to embrace all five of you at once and says, "Oh, look at all of you together again at Sky Haven after all these years. It's been more than a decade, I think. Oh, I'm so very sorry. Forgive this old woman's excitement. It is my great honor as steward of Sky Haven, Lady Marianne Blackthorn, welcome all of you back home. Skyhaven is the ancestral home of House Folkrest, and it is my great honor to provide you anything and everything you could need while you're here. I understand there are many preparations that need to be made, and anything that all of you need to accomplish, I will ensure everything in my power that it gets done in a timely manner. I'd like to inform all of you that Lady Alaris Eldrin, Treasurer, has also arrived earlier this morning, and she has already been set up in Skyhaven. Whenever all of you are ready to discuss the duties around the Sentinel, you can see some genuine concern over her face in that moment, but she sort of pushes them down and away. To discuss about the festivities, your earliest convenience, of course. But anything aside from that, I would love to help you. Please, if there's nothing that you will have to address within Sea Haven, I'd be happy to escort you up to Skyhaven myself.
I don't believe we have any business here.
Very good. I know Skyhaven will be happy to have you back. It feels like the whole mountain seems to be breathing easier knowing you've returned, even if it's just for a little while. As all of you head inside to Skyhaven. And the entrance you walk through is the Eagle's Archway, the same one Rainier walked through all those years ago. And in the very center of the room, you can see the Sentinel's hearth, this massive fireplace. It seems to be carved from this like black volcanic stone brought from distant mountains. And the hearth is adorned with the names of not only fallen heroes from previous Folkrest adventures, but of all of those individuals who died on the night of Crimson Tears. So you try not to think about it. Though, as you maybe place your hand on the volcanic stone and feel some of those names, you get this flash in your head, and it hurts immediately, like a migraine that's only there for an instant. And you see yourself walking down this long, unfamiliar corridor carved from unnatural stone. And as you take your hand off, it fades away. And when you put your hand back on, it doesn't come back. But it's very strange. Well, Lady Alaris is within the private dining hall right now. All of you know where that is. If you need anything else, I'll be around the keep. Just holler for a servant and they'll come find me. All right?
It's good to see you.
You have no idea how happy it makes me to see all of you. All of you make your way into the private dining hall of Skyhaven, and there you see Lady Alaris Eldrin, Chancellor of the Treasury. She sees all of you enter, and smiles, and says, I had heard all of you had arrived. Fantastic. Thank you for coming so expeditiously to meet. I understand there maybe was some sightseeing or things you wish to attend to in the keep. It means a great deal to me that you wouldn't keep me waiting. Thank you.
We have a lot to talk about and a lot of work to do, seems around here, so better
Yes,
to
we
get
do.
started than wait.
Absolutely agree. Please take a seat. I've drafted up some budgets and pricing guidelines for what I think might be best. Of course, feel free to spend however much you wish, as long as it exists within your budget. And you can see that Lady Alaris is nodding, listening to all of you, and says, all right, I think that is the best way to do it as well. Of course, of course. Well, then I will go ahead, and she sort of scoops up the papers, and you see that she drafts a couple of new reports that are finalized. 3 reports for each one of the 3 budget expenditures. She writes out various items that will need to be purchased, budgeting for them, these 3 different requisitions, and she signs the document for the Chancellor of the Treasury, hands it over to Edwin to sign.
Reads it up.
She just
And
stands like...
it takes a Edwin's also got ADHD, so it takes a hot minute.
Mm-hmm. Would you like me to read it to you?
No, it's fine.
All right.
This line, right? Nope, that's good.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, all right.
All right.
Okay. All right. And then you sign Edwin, and you can see that she pours a little bit of wax on the paper.
Well, I have a very important guest that I'm going to go speak with now, if you all will excuse me.
Oh, wait, before you go, I wanted to ask, who is that fellow? Bjorn, right?
Yes, Bjorn is a dear friend of mine from the Serpent's Grove. Who's a good friend of my mother's, actually, and he is the one who accompanied me to Crown's Rest when I was younger.
Oh,
I write to him often, but I haven't seen him in quite some time, so it is a very pleasant surprise to see him here of all places.
okay. Well, I assume you want to go alone, so we will give you your privacy. Just be careful. Make sure you bring an outfit of guards with you.
That's not necessary.
It might be. We have a big presence in the city. I think at least some
I
should attend.
assure you, Edwin, I couldn't be more safe. And with that, she kind of smiles and leaves.
Yeah, she'll be fine.
You continue to walk, and it takes quite a bit of time until eventually you do stumble upon a shrine. And this is a rather old shrine. It's fairly overgrown with moss and vines carved from stone of the World Serpent, one of the three primary entities of the Zakari people. And there you see, sitting in front of it on his knees, head bowed, is Bjorn. As you step forward, he sort of turns his head back and says,
You made it. Good. Please, take seat with me.
Yeah, she looks at the shrine, confused, not knowing that this was here, and she quickly goes and sits next to him. Very, I would say, almost childlike. Like she's wanting to learn as much as she can in this moment, but still this feeling of what are you doing here at the same time.
You have many questions. I can see it on your face.
She kind of looks at him and for a second doesn't have any words. You are so old. And she touches the scars and the wrinkles on his face. Where have you been? Did you get my letter, the one I wrote you not long ago?
No, I have not received letter. Soon, at all. I came because it was time.
She's going to speak in Elvish. And she's going to say, time for what?
and he sort of turns away from you and he looks at the shrine and says, in Elvish,
Do you know who built this shrine?
No, I didn't even know this was here. I didn't think our people came this far.
They did not. Before your father left the Serpent's Grove, he asked Senua for stones to take with him, so he could take a small part of the Serpent's Grove with him.
You
He
never just
asked-
told me that.
I do not know if because of shame or because Zakari are viewed as bad here. Zakari who live in nation are...
and you can see as he's starting to grow more comfortable, especially speaking in Elvish, it starts to come a little bit more naturally to him speaking.
The Zakari are viewed poorly within Adaria, and your father, due to his complicated family lines, has not made ruling any easier on himself. I view maybe if he had been viewed as a king who also worshipped the serpent, he would be viewed even more as an outsider than what he may already be in those royal courts.
I wish he would have told me this. It would be nice to know that he... I don't know, sometimes I think that Alan forgets. And I just don't know how you could forget something so beautiful. But maybe he's not as forgetful as I think.
Forgetting is easier. To remember is painful.
And you see he sort of looks at the statue. You had similar ones in your small town in the Serpent's Grove where you had lived. Statues that were broken and toppled on that fateful night.
I come because it was time. You were too little to know, to understand the words. But the Great Serpent spoke to your mother on the night she returned to the Great Serpent.
I don't understand.
The Great Serpent said to her, "When the gauntlet of steel and expectation falls upon a bed of roses, the bear must make haste to the falcon's mountain throne. Shadows grow long where royal blood runs thin." The serpent told her that her daughter walked among them, yet they do not know the darkness that stalks their steps. An ancient guardian stirs from its slumber. And the final thing the serpent said was that crimson would rise once more. They lay dormant in my mind until several weeks ago, when I heard the king's hand travel to Rosemont. I knew that it was time. So I came here.
And you see he looks up past the trees at the mountains where Skyhaven peeks out.
To the Falcon's mountain throne. I come here because you need protection, you and your siblings. From what I hear from the kind woman, Marianne is her name, yes?
Yes.
There is a festival to become a protector of this Adaria, yes?
Yes. To be the sentinel, yes.
Sentinel, if my lady would allow it, my sweet little cub.
You see he tried to do the Adarian, thing in that moment, but he couldn't help but just go back to what he's known, what he's always known.
I wish to enter this tourney to become sentinel, so I can protect you and your siblings from whatever may come. I know I am an outsider, but I try to learn. I bowed. I can call you lady if you like.
No, Bjorn, that is not necessary. You should. Yes, this is... I don't understand everything, but I saw something. She, hesitates to say what she's going to say, afraid of what he's going to say.
Speak, child.
Something attacked Rainier. And we don't know what it was, but it not only attacked his body, but it attacked his spirit. And something told me to look. And I tried to veil walk. And it...
Kaelin.
Oh, but let me finish. It sort of worked in a very strange way. I'm fine. I'm here. Nothing happened to me. But when I did, I saw this thing, this black creature with these tendrils reaching out and feeding off of him. And I tried to stop it, but it knew my name. It called me by my name, Bjorn. It was so strange. But I knew that's what it was doing. I knew it was trying to harm his soul. And is this the shadow that you're talking about? Is that what this is?
And you see he kind of growls, this sort of deep low. He's trying not to show that disappointment. And it's not disappointment. It is anger. Not at you, though. He speaks to you with care, but this thing, whatever it is, it's anger.
To be Zidani is to put yourself at danger. Every time. Every single time. To not know the truths of that world, the strengths.
I know.
To go into Nis Thalori is it is to expose your spirit, your soul, your spark.
I had to. I didn't know what else to do. I know.
And what did you see?
Like I said, it's a strange thing. It had no form. It just was. And Nan told me there are just creatures that exist in the in-between that just do that. But this is... How did it know my name? Why did it attack Rainier in such a way? We still have not fully revived him. There's still a part of him missing. you do something. Talon was going to send for a Veil Walker. This is perfect. Maybe you can help somehow. This is good, Bjorn. Yes, you should enter the tournament. You would be a perfect choice. Think about all the experience that you have. Think about what you're capable of, what you are.
I will enter this tourney, little cub, but you must know that no Veil Walker will answer Talon's calls.
Why?
All Sithani take an oath, one that binds us. We cannot break them, for if we do, we can no longer enter Nistadori. We are barred from ever Veil walking again.
But if you are made Sentinel, you can do that, though, right?
If I am made Sentinel, I believe it would not shatter my oath, as my duty would then be to the nation of Adaria, and then to protect its people, I would need to protect Rainier.
Great.
But, Kaelin, the other thing you must know is that another part of my oath is that I cannot lie. And I tell you this right now. If you Veil walk again, now that whatever that thing is knows your name, it can find you, and it may try to hurt you, or even worse. So unless I am there to guide you and to walk with you, you do not go into that realm. Do you understand me?
Yes, I understand. You have my word. I understand.
Good. That being said, it was very brave what you did. And it shows the strength of your spirit that you survived. And it sounds exactly like something your bull-headed mother would have done.
I'm so happy you're here.
And I am very
didn't
happy
know-
to see you.
I didn't know the world servant spoke to her. I knew I was supposed to be here for a reason. And now you're here. She takes his hands.
Yeah.
Everyone is going to know how important our people are. And I think you can win. I know you can win, Bjorn. I know you can. We just have to make sure that people... I don't know. I have been fighting this battle my entire life here, that they aren't going to cast judgment before they know what it is we are capable of. But I think once the people see, you can earn their trust. Mother trusted you. I trust you. Talon trusts you.
Something I fear he gives away much too easily. But, regardless, for all of the qualities that your father does have, he's a good man. And assisting him in protecting this realm is something that I would be proud doing. But you, I'm sure, have your duties as a princess to attend to.
As a lady.
Oh, as a lady, you are princess. This much I have learned.
I don't like that title very much.
What is wrong with being princess? You get to wear big, beautiful gowns and wear a tiny crown. It sounds quite nice, don't you think? Everyone stares at you all the time and talks about you all the time. What's not to love
No,
about that?
Bjorn. Ladies have stood the test of time. There's the lady of forest. There's a lady of the air. The lady of the earth that we walk on. That is what I want to be. I don't want to be a princess, but I do have things I need to do. I will make sure that when the call goes out that you receive an invitation, Bjorn. When the tournament begins, I think that you will prove yourself. I have no doubt. I think this is the change that we really need.
You see, he stands and he'll help you up. You see, for him, it's like picking up a piece of paper when he helps you up. He says,
I will do what I can here in Skyhaven to make people see that I can help, that I am good man, and that I am good at what I do. So that way, hopefully, when I do petition,
you'd see that word is spoken in common, since that's not something that is that is done in the Serpent's Grove.
when I do that. But they will know me. They will know Bjorn Wildblood.
I am the happiest I have been in a very long time. Okay. I will go and I will speak to my siblings about this at some point.
Yes.
Because I'm sure that's going to go well.
I am sure.
Once they know who you are, there's no doubt that at least giving you a chance is the best thing for this kingdom. But I will go. And you will hear from me soon.
Your sister, the blue one, with Xanthi, she uses trident, yes?
Yeah.
It is an admirable weapon for a warrior. You see, I had a friend from a fishing town up the coast, up north. They used the same thing. He would fight back Kuatoa and Sahagwin with them.
Yeah, well. Don't tell her that. She already has a big enough head as it is.
Oh, something about people with tridents, I think. My friend also had quite the ego.
Yeah, well, and her head is just big, too.
That is your sister.
She just, like, tries to mimic the same growling sound that he made earlier, but it comes out very, like, almost like a chirp instead.
Yeah. You see Samson is kind of like rolling his eyes at what Bjorn said too and growling a bit. And Bjorn looks to Samson and says,
Hey, I don't complain to you when you would nibble at my shoes in the village, did I? You keep your opinions to yourself.
Listen, I don't think you'll be so impressed when you meet her. But we shall see. I'm just gonna scoop up Samson. I'll see you soon, Bjorn.
Very good. And Kaelin, one last thing before you go.
Yes.
I know you might not like it, but growing up in that town with your mother, the way that you acted, you have always been a princess, whether you knew it or not. And I mean that. It's a compliment. It's a very good thing. But, respect your wishes, Lady Kaelin.
Thank you. What should I call you? Sir Bjorn.
Ugh.
Are you a knight now?
No. No, thank you. I don't know how they wear those helms, and I don't know how the armor would do with, well, my shifting.
I think it'd be quite the sight. But
I think so.
I really
too.
should go.
Yes, go, please. With that.
Smiles and she lingers for a little bit, and then she'll turn to go.
yep. And you see he sits back down and on his knees, and he pulls his sort of giant greatsword that he has from his shoulder and pulls out a whetstone and just as he begins to sharpen the blade, preparing for a little bit of light adventuring, it seems, as Bjorn tries to maybe accept a few contracts, protect a few people, kill a few monsters to make a name for himself in Skyhaven before the tourney arrives. All right. Fantastic. So with that, let's go ahead and move out of the Awa. And as we begin to move to Skyhaven, as all of you make your way to the rooms, you can see there are some servants that stop you. They ask about, items that you had on the ship and where you'd like those to be placed and what rooms you'll be staying in. And all of you do have rooms that you've stayed in as adults, or rooms that, are yours as adults that have been well kept. So you take time to get settled into your rooms, and as all of you get settled into your rooms is about the time that Kaelin makes her way back up, as all of you head to the children's corridors where the skyward window is, and you prepare to sort through your childhood belongings, whatever may be, back in these rooms. Now, the skyward window is an area that all of you are incredibly familiar with, because this is the place where all of you, when you were younger and would come to Skyhaven, where all of you would stay. So by this point, I would say it's getting pretty close to nighttime after everything you've done today. It's probably 8-9 o'clock. But in order to be effective with your time, you head to the children's chamber. So you can sort through those items, whatever they may be, to figure out what you're going to keep and what you're going to sort of give away or let go of. So we're going to go ahead and start with Xanthi. These are items that were found around the keep that belonged to Xanthi at one point in time, whether it be from her childhood or a little bit later. Beyond that, ended up staying here in Skyhaven for whatever reason. So as you open the small box, you notice that there are 2 items in here. The first one is something that you had almost forgotten about, a charm necklace. This was crafted by Kaelin many years ago as a peace offering between the 2 of you. You can see that it's slightly tarnished. The leather cord seems to be more well worn than probably what you'd like to admit, as you know that this necklace, you did end up wearing it on a few occasions, much more than you'd ever admit to anybody else. And the other thing that you find is a training journal with battle diagrams and formations. But as you begin to flip through it, thinking it's just another one of the books or another one of the instruction manuals, you see small notes written in the margins in Via's handwriting. And some of those pages have the answers to Via's questions there. Xanthi responding to her, almost like passing notes back and forth, but within your training journal. What's going through Xanthi's head as she sees both those items?
I think we'll go for the charm necklace first. She kind of like picks it. I think it would take her like a second to remember what it is, and she would just kind of like brush where the charm is, like between her fingers, you know, just like feeling it and like kind of investigating it, you know. And I think there's just like a little bit of a sigh from her. And she would just tuck it away somewhere on her where it's not going to be obvious, you know, like in a pocket or some shit. And then she moves to that journal, flicking through those pages. And I think it is just like a thing of just kind of just happy memories, you know, looking through it. Probably being like, I should serve Via this. But yeah, she definitely spends most of the time on the journal rather than the charm necklace.
Next kid, that is going to be Octavia.
That's me.
As you. So Via, you go over to your items that have been collected, whether they be from around Skyhaven or within this room yourself. The 2 items that you see within the box that had been saved for you, there is a small wooden chest. And in here are all the trinkets that Edwin had brought to you over the years, the ones that you were unable to take with you to Arkenvale. Each item carefully wrapped in the cloth, and each one has a small note describing where it came from and the story behind how Edwin obtained it and where he found it and why he thought it would be a good gift for you. All these tiny, tiny, tiny knickknacks that really individually don't seem like a lot, but in this moment, as you're kind of looking at them, Edwin did always think about you guys when he left. And he always, always, always brought something back that he saw. So you kind of look through all those, and you can't help but laugh and smile at some of them that just you remember as a kid you did not like. You thought was such a lame gift that he brought back for you, but you had to be a princess and you had to be thankful. And, you know, looking back, it seems silly now. The other thing you find is something that Via, you can't help but laugh at as you see it, which is this sort of half-finished project with these very detailed sketches and a collection of materials that you had that were unused after helping Merritt create an engagement gift for Solara.
No.
You see some of your notes on it and how you just absolutely wanted to make it perfect. And some more sad notes about the reality of your own parents, but those kind of trail off as you focus on the happiness, which was helping Merrick make this thing that you remember Solara loved. And it was probably because of your artistic guidance.
Of course, of course. She will just kind of look through those, and I think through the gifts, she might pick out stuff that she knows her niece, who's around the age-appropriate gifts from
Yeah.
what Edwin gave for her niece, and so she might set those aside for when she gets to meet her and hopefully gift them to her. So.
Okay, fantastic. So, you pull a couple of those off to the side that seem appropriate. Does Via do anything else, or what's going through her mind as she's sort of going through these things?
Oh, she's thinking about how she wishes she was able to grow up here a little bit longer and not have it be kind of like a time capsule a little bit. So she wishes she had decorated this room and had time here, and even just with her siblings. And so her heart hurts a little bit, but Edwin's gifts of him always remembering really helps.
Okay. The camera kind of pans out of Octavia's room, and we move to Merrick. So Merrick, you move over to your bed, and you kind of open up the box that's there for you, and you find 2 items as well. One being a handcrafted set of wooden dice with serpent engravings. This is a set that you and Kaylin made together to be able to play serpent's dice together. And on top of that, when you open the box, you see there's a little tally sheet that had been saved. The last time the 2 of you had played here in Skyhaven, and it shows the original score, which was 2.5 to 1.5 in Kaylin's favor.
Just for old time's sake, Merrick's gonna roll the 2d6 and see what he gets, if I may.
Yeah, of course.
All right.
You shake it. And
Damn it!
You roll.
Suck at this game. I did not score, for those of you who are at home.
So sorry about your bad luck.
Nah, it's fine. It's fine.
So you roll the dice and you kind of throw them down, and you can't help but roll your eyes at the result. Ugh, let out this heavy sigh.
Some things never change.
And you kind of set those off to the side. You reach in and you find a little worn, hand-drawn map on a piece of parchment for the forests surrounding Skyhaven, marked with yours and Edwin's notes about truffle locations. There's little dates and little tallies about their findings, and there's little circles in different colors that says M's favorite spot and E's favorite secret spot that only he told you about. So Merrick holds those items. What's going through his head?
I think there's a lot. I think there's a fondness of the memories, but he can't help but think about how things are and just feel a bit of disappointment that, things changed over the years.
Yeah. Okay. So
But he'll keep them both.
Yeah, you kind of sit with those feelings, Merrick, as we pan away. You open your box, and you see a collection of 2 different items. One is a sort of a stack of papers with these hastily written notes by a much younger Kaylin about all of the shadow puppet stories she could remember, because those were the same stories she told Via, and you have like all these notes about how young Kaylin didn't want to forget the stories that were told to her in the Serpent's Grove. Because one, she didn't want to forget something that was reminded her of home, but she wanted to be able to tell Via all of the stories she could from the Serpent's Grove, to be able to share all those moments. So there's probably, 30 stories here written down hastily as Kaylin is rapidly trying to get them all down before they escaped her mind. And you do see here, actually, that Kaylin wrote most of these in one batch, but then there's a couple of sheets of paper at the end. As Kaylin told more than half of them, her and Via started to brainstorm about more stories that could be told inspired by the Serpent's Grove. So there's a couple of ideas that Via wrote down here as well. And the other thing is a gift from Edwin, actually, that you remember he got you for your birthday. A very small, unusual stone, but very unique. Something that Kaylin really did enjoy when she got it. It was her birthday that Edwin was the only one of her siblings that was there. And you kind of hold that stone and you look at the stacks of stories and what's going through Kaylin's mind.
I think as she's looking at the stories first, she kind of reads a few out loud to Samson, just laughing to herself at how silly some of the ones her and Via wrote were in comparison to the strong morals of the ones from the Serpent Grove.
Yeah.
But to them at the time, they were teaching a valuable lesson. And she looks at the stone, just kind of like squeezing it in her hand. I think she just feels it's kind of this weird sad of forgiving Edwin in a way that she didn't think she would before, now that she knows what she knows.
Yeah. Kaylin, you kind of fiddle with those two items, and you can't help but feel all those feelings as you kind of sit on the bed, and Samson runs up your leg onto the bed also and kind of lays his head on your lap. He's just kind of chewing on an acorn that he found as you're reading him some of those stories. And then we go to Edwin. So Edwin, as you enter your room, you move to the bed and you find the items in that box. First one is a memory that you actually dove deeper into very recently, back in the Manor of the King's Hand, as you find a leather poetry journal. One of your earlier editions, when you and Xanthi were both quite a bit younger, where same as Via did to her in her, martial instruction manuals, Xanthi did the same to you, drawing little knights and flowers alongside the verses of poetry that Edwin wrote. But one of the coolest things about this is you can see that Xanthi's skills as an artist got better as time went on. The flowers and knights grew more detailed and even started to add bits of color. Those messy scribbles to these really detailed illustrations. And, the other thing you find is a carved wooden truffle knife. It has both yours and Merrick's initials on it. And both of you would use this same knife during your camping trips whenever, Edwin, you'd return home. It's slightly worn from use, but it shows how many of these little expeditions you went on and, how much time the two of you used to spend together when Edwin was home, at least. So as Edwin's kind of looking at these items, what's going through his head?
As he looks through the poetry book, he does say out loud, "Wow, I really need to show Xanthi this. Why doesn't she draw anymore? Does she? Need to ask her. She was so cute. What happened?" And he just puts... And then he pulls out the other item and then immediately just starts looking and staring at it and gets sad. And he's thinking of the conversation Merrick and him had not even a day ago. And he grips the knife really, really tight.
Yeah.
And he just kind of sits there.
Yeah. Okay. So all of you take a moment in your rooms by yourself. These were your rooms as children. This is not the accommodations that you'll be staying in now. There are accommodations for adults that are fully fitted rooms that have been cleaned and maintained and kept up to a standard that the princes and princesses of the realm should be staying in. But as you enter these rooms, the task given to you by Lady Marianne was to retrieve the items you want to and leave behind the ones that you're okay with being thrown away. So as everyone goes to step out of their rooms, is anyone leaving anything behind? Something they'd prefer to leave in the past? Or is everybody taking all their items with them?
Taking all mine. I'm taking all mine.
All mine.
Keep.
Okay. All right. So everybody keeps all of them, and all of you take just several moments in your room to go through all the small books and items and, you know, really have these vivid memories of your childhood. And there are some bad ones in there, but there's also good ones. And some of the items that you look at, you can't help but remember the silly times that you and your siblings used to have as kids. As rare as they were, they did exist. You leave the room, back out into the central foyer, the skyward window, and you can see that about that time, about everybody is starting to exit, and all of you kind of make eye contact in that moment as all of you are holding different items found in the rooms. You gather the rest of your things and you head off to your rooms to sleep. However, as all of you head to sleep, it's not necessarily as peaceful as you maybe would have wanted. So, Via, you head to sleep and you sort of lull yourself into that realm, and there's this strange thing that happens, this shifting. It feels so unnatural to you in that moment, as most of the time whenever you would peer into the future, it's something that happens in an instant, and it's something that almost seems to attack you. This is something different. It's a premonition, a vision, I guess, but very different. You see yourself, right? Sort of this outer body experience as you're walking down this unfamiliar corridor. That same flash you had in your head earlier in the day. You place your hand on these stones carved to resemble falcons. And you walk down this corridor. You can see a passageway, a doorway currently shut with a symbol of a sprawling tree on it. The more you walk, the further away you are from it. And you see a snake following all of you, or no, a snake carved into the stone following all of you. Very strange. And the last thing you hear before you wake up is a phrase: the blood remembers what the mind forgets. And with that, it's not violent, but you wake up that next morning, bright and early, around 6, 7 a.m. No nosebleed, no headache, but it felt so real, that dream that you experienced.
I think as she's like thinking about it, just kind of like reflecting, she would actually get up and head right to Kaylin's room and knock on the door.
Kaylin,
Answer it.
as you begin to sort of stand and move towards the door, you see something in the corner of your eye, kind of halfway tucked behind your bookshelf. You hadn't noticed it before when you came in last night. Maybe you were tired. You don't know, but you see a very similar stone carving on the wall that you've seen before in Crown's Rest. That of a snake.
Do I hear the knock at the door?
You do, yeah.
She's gonna look at the wall and look at the door. And like not taking her eye off the wall as if it's gonna suddenly jump off. She's gonna open the door.
Hi, Kaylin. Is now an okay time? I want to talk to you about something.
Yes, come in. Do you see that
Do I,
on the wall?
Joe, how do I feel seeing that? Because that was in my dream, right?
Octavia, as you look at the wall, you don't really see anything. There's a strange crack in it where Kaylin's pointing that's kind of, I guess, shaped in kind of like a very loose S pattern, but it just looks like a crack in the stone.
The crack in the wall?
What? No, it's not a. She like narrows her eyes. It's not a crack. It's a snake. You don't see the shape? Kaylin's gonna walk over and like touch it.
No, I don't see a snake. That looks like a crack in the stone. But I had a dream about a snake in a wall, and she will relay the dream to Kaylin. But I don't see anything right now.
Kaylin, as you move towards it, you kind of trace your finger along the snake, and you whisper a few words in not just Elvis, but that sort of older Zakari tongue. and you hear this sort of whispering hiss back. Via, you do hear the whispering hiss. And then, Kaylin, you see the stone not loudly, but just kind of like coil back and forth to reveal a passageway.
Do I see that?
You see the passageway, Via.
At the keep, there are lots of passageways just like this that have a snake symbol on them, and I've always been able to open them like this. That's how I get outside so easily. That's how I move around the keep so quickly. But these have never been here before. They've only ever been in Crown's Rest.
Well, I've never seen any snake designs.
What does your dream mean?
I don't know what my dream meant. I've never had a dream like that before. And also, I woke up feeling fine. Most of the time, actually, all the time lately, if I have any sort of visions, I get a pain in my head and my nose and ears bleed sometimes, just depending on how intense it is. But
Not
I
this
feel
one?
fine. No, not at all.
Kaylin's gonna like touch her face, just kind of like gingerly, just trying to make sure she's not bleeding from anywhere.
Nope.
Okay. She looks back down the dark hallway. We should get everyone, right?
Yes, but let's, take a little peek, and she'll cast light.
Via, as you conjure the light spell in your hand, then you go to move forward. The light spell doesn't extend past the threshold of the passageway.
Just go get everyone quickly.
Okay. She will hurry and knock on everyone's doors, and she'll go, "Come to Kaylin's room, right now!"
And we do.
Okay.
Yes, all of you are like some of you are just waking up, Yeah, so all of you do.
Wait, what
Like-
time of day is this right now?
It's like 7 a.m.
Okay.
early in the morning.
Edwin is in his pajamas, obviously drinking from his mug of coffee on his way to Kaylin's room.
As everyone comes in, she quickly shuts the door behind them.
And Via's explaining really quickly in one breath, and then she goes, "So, are we ready to go in?"
I'm cautious to go through random doorways that just appear out of nowhere.
I honestly agree. That seems incredibly stupid. Surely we should at least let Lady Marianne know.
I will say,
She have more information on this. She's been here longer than all of us have, at least for recently.
We're the House of Adventure. Come on, guys. This is so neat. I gotta see what's behind here.
All right, that is a good point. We are the House of Adventure.
all of the ones that I've ever gone through before have led to a different part of the keep, or simply outside. It's never led me to a place of danger, or it's just passageways.
I'm in agreement with Xanthi, though, especially if you're saying that this didn't appear until this morning. There's something weird going on, and the five of us shouldn't go in alone without saying anything to anyone at the very least.
So all of you make your way in, and you begin to walk down this ancient corridor. The stone here is old stone, but the carvings are new. Falcons that rest atop mountains. And you walk down this corridor, down and down and down, until eventually you see a doorway, sealed shut. It looks as almost it is a stone that almost seamlessly mends into the threshold. On top there is, or carved onto it, is this large mountain peak, and there is a tree that exists on top of the mountain. Not alluding to a tree being inside the mountain, but a tree on top of that mountain.
Via might cross in front of Merrick and start to walk to the door. and she'll want to put her hand on it if she can reach it, unless it starts doing the thing in the dream.
You place your hand on it, and the wall doesn't seem to respond at all. It is carved into the stone, this tree in this mountain. You can feel the edges, and you can feel that it's very smooth. Whoever did the work was very skilled.
But she doesn't get a vision or anything from it.
Nope. In
Okay.
fact, it
Is
is
it-
oddly quiet to Via. Most things have some type of resonance to them, but this is nothing.
Mm. Is this a sealed door, or is it
Mhm.
something that we can just open?
No, it's sealed, yeah.
Can Caitlin try touching it?
Yeah, Kaylin, you try and touch it. Same thing as Via, nothing happens.
What's carved on this? Just a mountain?
It is a mountain with a tree on top of it.
What kind of tree?
Big oak tree.
I don't know. Something particular. Okay.
Is there anything about the symbolism that seems familiar? Does it invoke anything?
Merrick, as you're kind of looking at it, you've made the journey to Skyhaven quite a few times, about as many as Edwin. And so I'd say that you and Edwin both would kind of have a moment of recognition where it looks a lot like the mountain peak that Skyhaven is built on top of.
Via's gonna remember the phrase that from her dream, the blood remembers what the mind forgets, and she'll like ask one of her siblings for a sharp object. Like a dagger or a xanthe or trident, something.
Merrick pulls out a dagger and just hands it to her.
She's going to actually cut open the same spot that she did her blood ritual back in school, and kind of squeeze her hand so that the blood kind of fills in her hand, and kind of rub it on the door and see if there's any response from that.
Yeah. But yeah, as you do, the blood doesn't drip off your hand onto the ground. It stays on the wall, and it moves into that tree. And you can see that it moves to the very top, one of the furthest up branches, one of the thinnest branches, and will then trace itself all the way down to the stump and deep into the roots. And you hear stone grinding, and the door slowly begins to open. And here you see a circular chamber. You can see there are quite a few alcoves, or these recesses that go deep into the wall, but there are 8 main ones in the room that you enter now, with some hallways going further down and deeper into the mountain. There is this sort of self-sustaining like globes of light in here, as well as this aura of magic. And this place is not dusty at all. It is pristine, clean. There are walls covered with markings in the common tongue talking about enemies of House Falkrest, and talking about what is in some of those alcoves. Very vague and in almost a coded language that's hard to understand to your eyes as you're looking through it. But that is not what catches your attention the most. In the very center of this room, sort of levitating almost in this stasis, looks to be this construct of some kind, currently dormant. As the door opens and all of you sit behind the threshold looking in, you can see that construct levitating but dormant, not moving. And everybody's moving into the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good thing I left a note.
Can I say I'm stealthily entering the room?
There's this moment of silence as all of you kind of stop, as all of you cross the threshold and you're all there. And you exhale for a moment, thinking that whatever securities were here are no longer present. And then that is when you see on the face of that creature this sort of golden ring illuminate. The singular perfect golden ring illuminates on this construct's face. And as it begins to glow, the door behind all of you shuts,
It's like a boss battle.
and you hear it speak. Intruder alert. Vault security compromised. Initiating defense protocol Alpha. And you can see at that moment the construct sort of drops down from the ground, and there is this heavy as like the ground kind of underneath it on that pedestal, you can hear it almost cracks from the weight, and you can see the construct itself begins to duplicate, where there is one version of it that splits off and another version that splits off, and you can see that growing from its like limbs it's like materializing weapons from the material that its body is made out of. You can see one forms this like giant great hammer, another one a sword and shield, and another one starts to conjure these bolts of magical energy. And all of you ready yourselves, unsure of what is currently happening. With that, as you stare at Merrick, you can see the creature, this construct of seemingly a pretty remarkable power begins to move towards you. And as all of you ready yourselves to fight it, and that is where we're going to go ahead and end tonight's session. Be sure to also tune back in so you can see what exactly is going on in Faithspire when eventually they get there. However, I don't think they're getting to Faithspire next session.